I am Jennifer Prell, the president and founder of Eldorks Educational Services, a not-for-profit 501c3 organization helping older adults, seniors, and families find senior living care, support, and benefits. If you know anyone who's struggling at home or needs some guidance, please send them to Eldorks. We are a complimentary service to anyone asking for help, questions, or anything like that. So today we have Theresa Coomer with us. Theresa is a master educator with over a decade teaching caregiver to her wounded warrior partner and the Illinois Fellow for the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. Theresa and Marcus are the parents of 2 young children, Timothy, who's 2, and Violet, who's 1, who you see here eating a lovely orange. Theresa and Marcus met in 2008, a year after Marcus was medically discharged from the Army. While in service, Marcus had broken his back, luckily the bones and not the spinal cord, and sustained a traumatic brain injury in an explosion while driving his tank in Samarra, Iraq. After his separation from service, Marcus was diagnosed with severe PTSD. Theresa has helped Marcus in his daily activities, including cooking, cleaning, scheduling appointments, accompanying him to appointments, monitoring medications, and advocating for him at the VA due to Marcus's anxiety and memory issues. Together, Theresa and Marcus have overcome many obstacles that have arisen from his wounds of war, including drug addiction and suicide attempts. No human should have to go through this. Unfortunately, some do, and I'm sure he's very happy to have you, Theresa.
And I'm very happy to be his caregiver. We have had lots of ups and downs, but we keep working through it all.
Oh, I am sure. I am sure. So I'm going to go ahead and let you take over, and I'm going to go away. Have fun.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad that everyone is able to join us. I'm very excited for this event. I thank the Elderworks and McHenry County Veterans Commission for helping organize this together so that we can give resources and support and care for our caregivers in our community, our military and veteran caregivers. So I am going to screen share now. Being a teacher, I have, I clicked the wrong one. Give me a second. Jump to my other screen, that's why. We are doing, I clicked on that one and I did the wrong one. Okay, there we go. I'm very used to actually giving presentations over Zoom, even though I have some complications there every once in a while as we're setting it up. So the Elizabeth Dole Foundation is a foundation that I joined in 2019. You may have heard of it before, and if not, I'm gonna go over some of the basics of it and then some of the programs that we do. You may have heard it as the Elizabeth Dole Foundation or as Hidden Heroes. Senator Elizabeth Dole is the caregiver for her husband. He's a World War II veteran, Senator Bob Dole. And in 2011, he ended up being treated at the Walter Reed Center. And while they were going through the treatment there, Senator Elizabeth had a lot of time to interact with all the other people that were in the waiting rooms there, which happened to be the caregivers of wounded warriors. And through that, she realized how much difficulty these families were having and not enough support was being given. A lot of support was being given to our veterans, but the families weren't really being supported fully. And being that first area of help for our veterans, she decided to set up a foundation to really try to increase that support for our caregivers of our military and veterans. So this organization connects military and veteran caregivers across the nation, and we advocate for their needs in Washington, D.C. We already went over my caregiving journey there kind of at the beginning, how I became Marcus's caregiver, some of the difficulties that we've had, and that we have 2 kids, Violet, and then Timmy is 3, and he's in the other room playing. You might hear him chattering in the background. I do want to say that my days are not always easy. We have a lot of difficult days. We have a lot of really amazing days as well. And I've also made a lot of mistakes in this caregiving journey because I am human. So I'm sure some of you may relate to that a little bit. But I have done a lot of work in giving myself grace and learning from those mistakes, and then moving forward and continually reaching out for help and support. So I became the Elizabeth Dole Fellow for Illinois in 2019. They have a group of fellows from all 50 states. And I applied after finding out about the foundation. I thought I kind of have some skills that I would like to put towards that and helping others. And was very fortunate to join the team in 2019. One of the first things that the Elizabeth Dole Foundation did was commission the RAND Corporation to do a very comprehensive study on what the needs of caregivers are, so that they can actually start identifying what they can do and help give that support in the way that they can. And this study has guided the work of the foundation, and they've actually updated, they're working on an updated study now to actually see, have we kind of given support in areas that we wanted to give support, and where are some new areas that we need to give support in. Some things that the Elizabeth Dole Foundation does do, they helped create a caregiver experience map, and it's an interactive map that that people can use. They have the Hidden Heroes campaign, which is really just advocating and bringing a light to what we call hidden heroes, which is caregivers, because we were in the shadows. Hopefully we're coming more into the light and we're feeling a lot more supported. They just launched the Hidden Helpers campaign, which is really looking at children of disabled veterans and what supports they can give there. The Campaign for Inclusive Care, which is about really getting the caregiver on the team, on the healthcare team. Respite opportunities, Hidden Hero Cities and Counties, which is what McHenry joined in on in 2019. We advocate on the Hill, and we have a large Hidden Heroes caregiver community on Facebook. So the experience map. So this was developed by the Elizabeth Dole Foundation with a partnership with Phillips and the Department of Veteran Affairs. And it's a document to help kind of visualize what we go through as caregivers. It helps caregivers kind of realize that they are a caregiver sometimes, and it helps caregivers that are on the journey kind of have an idea of where they're going and how to reach out for resources. If you go to the Caregiver Journey Map online, if you go to the Caregiver Journey Map online, it is an interactive map that you can actually look at the different areas when you're just starting, going on to the next stages, and it tells you some support and resources for each of those stages, because we understand this was developed with caregivers from the foundation as well, because we understand that each stage is really unique in itself, and people need different resources at different times. I know from personal experience that when we sometimes go to an event and we start getting information, it becomes overload. And so they try to really break down this journey map to help with each stage, so that you're not overloaded with information. And also there's an access point to get more information when you need it. So they helped develop the Caregiver Journey Map. It has the different areas where you're just starting to realize that you're becoming a caregiver. And then it has the area where you're kind of feeling the rhythm, you're getting the resources, you're getting the help, finding the rhythm. And you can notice that it's in a circle, and it's circular for a reason, because Anybody that's been on a caregiver journey for any point of time realizes that you start realizing what you're doing, you start understanding the care that you need, and then something new pops up and you feel like you're right back at the beginning. And that happens cyclically as new things come up, new health issues come up for your care recipient, maybe even for yourself, new situations happen, and we stay on this thing, but we always know that we can get to that finding the rhythm with the right resources, with the right support, that sometimes that first and second stage gets a little bit shorter as we go along. The Hidden Heroes campaign was started to raise awareness for military caregivers every day, inspire individuals and businesses and communities to start taking action to help support the caregivers in their community, and establish a national registry encouraging military caregivers to register so that they can be connected to better resources local and nationally. And that you can actually join the Hidden Heroes caregiver community by going to hiddenheroes.org and joining in so that you can be connected to other caregivers, a resource page that has hundreds of resources in different areas, that when you're stuck in a spot, it has hundreds of resources to reach out to for a lot of different areas, housing, schooling, cash grants, one more hardship grants, the VA caregiver program. So that's a national resource. And then you can explore the community and see other people in there and what they're doing. Once you've established yourself at the national, at the Hidden Heroes website, then you get connected to the community in even a bigger way. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Hidden Helpers is a new initiative, and it was actually through that second stage of the RAND study that we found the foundation realized that children were not really being supported in a strong way. Just like the caregivers were kind of left out, well, the children were left out even more so. And they were dealing with a lot of hardships and they needed more support. So as children are growing up with our wounded warriors, they have a lot of unique issues amongst themselves. And so they launched the Hidden Helpers to really start focusing on that and giving more help for those children and more support for those children, even just those connections. Because as we know, us in the military community right now, it's less than 1% that is serving. And so there's not a large community to draw from. And if you're not in a military community per se, you can feel very isolated with the issues of caring for a wounded warrior, and even more so for the kids. They're that much more isolated, and so they're trying to get new programs and new resources to really help those kids out. It's a big initiative that is happening right now. And there's resources on their Hidden Helpers page, on the Hidden Heroes page. And like I said, that's a new initiative, so it's growing. But they're getting resources gathered for that. I know one of the big ones that they're doing is summer camps. They're virtual summer camps, but summer camps for the kids that will then not just be in summer camp and summer camp activities, but they will be connected with other military and veteran children. So children of military and veterans. The Campaign for Inclusive Care launched 2 years ago, 2019. Some of you may have heard about the Campaign for Inclusive Care. I know that Lovell VA is actually partnering with it. It was an initiative set by the foundation to the VA to really get the Veterans Association hospitals to really start including the caregiver in the healthcare journey, that they are actually a partner on the healthcare team, because we have some amazing insights about what is happening with our veterans. And if we are ignored, then sometimes major issues also get ignored. So it was a campaign that was launched in a joint with the VA and the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, with the support of USAA, to really integrate family caregivers into the healthcare teams. They wanted to shift that focus of including that family caregiver in all of the healthcare opportunities, that we are a part of that healthcare team. We are not just off on the side hoping to get some help. The biggest thing that they did launch with that is an academy that helps healthcare providers at the VA understand the importance of the caregiver. I know I have seen a big change as a caregiver, that when I go to appointments with my partner, I am addressed just as much as he is addressed when we're introduced to a new care provider, that they actually want my input as well as his caregiver, which didn't always happen a while, before something like this happened. So that's the Campaign for Inclusive Care. And if you wanted to know more information, there is also the website campaign to care. A little bit more on the medical side than the caregiving side, but I did want to tell caregivers about this, because you can be a stronger voice for yourself in a campaign for inclusive care. So because they're doing the Campaign for Inclusive Care, you can be a stronger advocate because you know about this program. One of the big programs that launched last year was respite relief. There has been a lot of talk about respite for caregivers, that we get very inundated in the duties that we have, and it's hard for us to access that respite. And I know McHenry County is doing a big program to help with the respite as well, and we're so thankful for that. But the Elizabeth Dole Foundation as well has an opportunity. So I'm mentioning that as because pull from many wells if you can to get the respite that you need. The respite program is through CareLinks. It's a partnership with the foundation, CareLinks, Wounded Warrior Project, and the VA and AARP. And there is 24 hours of no-cost respite care for any qualifying caregiver. Caregivers do not have to be through the caregiving program at the VA. As long as you are a caregiver of a veteran or military member, you can qualify for this through the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. And it's 24 hours of no-cost care. It can be broken up over a couple of days. I have personally used this program, and I was able to set up 6 weeks of 4-hour increments, where I had meals prepped and house cleaning done. With 2 kids and a wounded warrior, things pile up, and it can be difficult to get to those simple maintenance things. And the relief that it gave me to take an hour or 2 to myself, because I didn't have to sweep and mop the floor and do a bunch of laundry, and then prep meals for the week. It was one of the best things that I've done for myself in a long time. And so you can see on here the different services that they have, that you can have somebody just come spend time with your veteran or military member. They can help them exercise. They can help them with moving, medication reminders, bathing, grooming, toileting, transportation if you just need help getting from one space to another. You can put all of this together. I believe they might even do picking up grocery shopping, like they can pick up orders and cook meals and prep meals. I only did the prep meal part, but they can get caregivers that will prep the meal. When setting up the respite, you ask what type of services you need, and they find the person to do that for you. It's not intensive medical intervention, so it's not respite in that way. It's more of the lighter side of caregiving, but it is a big help and a big resource to use. I know one of the fellows whose husband has ALS and is on an incubator and needs to be watched 24 hours a day. She uses it to help with organization, filling medications, and meal planning and housekeeping as well, which taking that off of her plate has dramatically impacted her life. To get the respite relief, hiddenheroes.org.respite. You can go there and sign in the eligibility requirements, take the next steps. You can sign up for that and they will get it set up. I know for me personally, it took a while to set up, but not because CareLinks isn't great. It's because I live in a very small community and there's just not many people to do the caregiving. So it took a little while to set up, but once it was set up, it was fantastic. So I had to be patient, but I understood that knowing where I live, that it was going to take a little bit longer. If you guys are up in Northern Illinois, it should take a lot less time because there's a lot more resources nearby. Hidden Heroes, cities and counties. So during the summer of 2016, the Elizabeth Dole Foundation worked with the U.S. Conference of Mayors to pass an important resolution to encourage cities to increase resources for military veteran caregivers. And so they asked cities and counties, and now I believe sometimes states, to sign up to have an initiative and become a Hidden Hero city and county, saying that they are committed to supporting veteran and military caregivers. And like I said before, in 2019, McHenry County did join us on the Hidden Hero City, and we could not be prouder of the work that they do in supporting military and veteran caregivers. And then if you wanted to learn more about that, you can go to the Hidden Heroes Cities and Counties website. Advocacy. I know, baby, I know. You're done with this. Can I give her back to you?
Being a caregiver never stops, does it, Theresa?
No, it does not. And I definitely try when I do things like this to not hide that side. I always say that my kids might pop in because that is my life. And I don't like to pretend that everything's glossy perfect because it's not. It's really fantastic, but we juggle lots of things. Advocacy. Once a year, we have the Fellows Take the Hill in DC. Obviously, we did not do that last year. It was not very possible. But in the years past, we go to DC and we meet with our legislators in both the House and the Senate and try to advocate for changes in laws that will affect military and veteran caregivers. We also have our EDF staff and fellows testify in hearings at the House and the Senate on any bills that are going to be affecting military and veteran caregivers. One of the big ones that was passed, which may be impacting people today, was the expansion of the VA caregiver program. And when I first joined the caregiver program, it just is information that was not out there. I didn't realize it was only post 9/11. I just thought it was a program for all veterans that qualified at the VA. And the fellows for the EDF really advocated hard that this should be a program that supports all military and veteran caregivers. And so years have been in the making of them pushing the legislature really hard to finally get to the point that just last year, they finally expanded it. Have they expanded it all the way? No, but that does not mean that EDF hasn't stopped piping in the ear about staying on top of their timeline to make sure that this program expands to all eras and all military and veteran caregivers. The Elizabeth Dole Foundation and the fellows meeting with our legislators on Capitol Hill and keeping this in the forefront is one of the reasons that we actually got the expansion in the program. And we are watching very closely how they're handling the expansion to make sure that the VA does it right. We have a great partnership with Senator Tester, who is committee chairperson for the Veterans Committee in the Senate. And I know just recently he sent a letter to the VA asking them about some of the practices that are happening with the expansion, just to make sure that the post 9/11 veterans don't get kind of pushed out because they're expanding the program, that it's an actual expansion of the program and not just moving resources around to kind of make it look good. So that's hard work that's happening right now, and it's not easy. And then our most recent thing that we've been working on is trying to get military and veteran caregiving. Right now, it's just in the stage of those that are in the VA caregiver program, just because there needs to be certain documentation federally for it to actually get that as a qualifying public service for loan forgiveness. And that, I believe that bill was just introduced. And so hopefully we can move that through. And once we get the level of those that are in the caregiver program at the VA on there, our next set is to advocate for all military and veteran caregivers to try to get that as a qualifying public service for loan forgiveness in some way, shape, or form. I wanted to share some things that I have done personally. So I'm going to switch screens. So in my personal advocation with being a fellow, in March 2019, the last year was a long year, so it kind of slips in my mind. March 2019, I actually was in DC and I went to a meeting of the Veteran Family Caregiver Survivor Advisory Committee, which was a committee that is chaired by Senator Elizabeth Dole, and it really is a branch kind of the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. It is a meeting where we actually get to talk to the leaders of the VA and advise them on things that we need as support as family caregivers and survivors. They have a public speaking section, and I was able to present on something that had affected me personally, and that when I was pregnant with Timmy, we realized that the healthcare support, being a dependent of a wounded warrior, and that being our only access of insurance, left a little bit to be desired in what was going to be covered under a pregnancy. And the only reason that it seemed like really odd was that if Marcus was the one pregnant, I know he's a man and he couldn't be, but if he was the one pregnant, then it would have been covered completely because it would have been under community care. But because I was his dependent, it was covered only at 80%. And so we were going to have to pay 20% of all of the care that comes with being pregnant, including delivery, which if anybody looks at the hospital bills after delivering our baby, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So as a family that lived on a very fixed income because of the disability, that was very scary for us going into it. And so I brought it up to the advisory council, just as something that may have slipped through the cracks, that he was 100% a part of making a baby, and I was just the one carrying it. So it seemed like that was a part of care that was kind of forgotten about in that. I also met with my local representative, my U.S. representative, which a lot of yours could be Adam Kinzinger as well, and just talked about supporting the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, and he has signed on to be a sponsor of some of the bills that moving forward. I have a really good working relationship with him. Just going to meet him. And I just went and met him at his district office. What I learned from that experience is speaking up and going to your local offices and just establishing a relationship with a U.S. representative. It can be very daunting at the beginning. But once you get there and realize they're a human being too, you can actually establish those partnerships and have a working relationship to move things in a new way. In May, I was able to go to Indianapolis, who also is a Hidden Hero city, and they did a big presentation of what they were doing to support caregivers in their community, and it was teamed up with the Today Show. And we got to have an amazing weekend of events doing caregiver respite activities, fantastic lunches, and then we went to a taping of the Today Show. So that was just a really neat thing that I was very fortunate through my work with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, got invited to be a part of, and kind of sparked my creative wheel of what I hope we can bring to Illinois in the future. Off of that, once we can meet in person again and not just be virtual, that we can kind of have a bigger event and have the support of the Elizabeth Dole Foundation to do that. That was Timmy when he was still little. He's much bigger now. Us at the Today Show. They have a convening once a year, which is really for partners, to partners that want to partner to support caregivers, to really get resources and information out to them to help support in a good way. Sesame Street is a big partner of the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. They have done a series of kids with disabled parents and military and veteran disabled parents. So Sesame Street has been a great partner for us as well, especially as I said earlier that we're doing the Hidden Helpers. Sesame Street is a big partner in supporting kids in that way. That was when we went to the Hill. You can see there's about 60 of us that year that went around and met with our legislators and representatives. And we're hoping to do that this year. We're still waiting to see if it can be in person, if we're going to do virtual again this year because of COVID. We're keeping our fingers crossed that maybe we'll be a little bit back to normal and we can actually go and see them. I personally am a bit of a government geek. I taught government for many years, and when I met with Senator Durbin in his office, one of the coolest, and regardless of that, one of the coolest things is that his office is actually at the Capitol building. Most senators and representatives' offices are off campus. So he is actually in the Capitol building. And so that was, just as a government geek, that was really cool for me personally to have a meeting, personal meeting in a office in the Senate, just outside the Senate chambers. And then afterwards, he tweeted about me, and I did not know that was going to happen, nor do I have Twitter. And I actually found out from one of my friends from high school that my senator had tweeted about our meeting. So that was just personally kind of a really cool thing that happened for me. And then we had a big gala, big fancy gala, where they recognized First Lady Michelle Obama, Senator Patty Murray, and Congressman Phil Rowe for their work and help that they have given throughout the years for military and veteran families and caregivers. That was just a fun, fancy party. Okay. So that was just my personal experiences with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation and different things that we have gotten moving. Need to exit full screen. Joining the community. That was the last thing that I was going to talk about. So like I said before, joining the community, you can register at hiddenheroes.org and join the Hidden Heroes community online. And once you're registered there, you can actually you'll get an invitation to join the Facebook group, because it's a private Facebook group, so that caregivers have a place to go to that is safe and supportive if they don't have something outside of this. And it's a support group, it's a resource hub, and an engaging wellness activities group. They do all kinds of things to help keep us all engaged and supported together and connected together. I myself have actually learned through the group different benefits that are offered and resources, so that I was able to go back to school and continue my education. And just last week, I finished my master's degree in educational administration, so that I can actually possibly move into a principal position in the future without putting a financial burden on my family. I wanted to go back to school for a couple of years, but was a little worried about the cost of it. And just being in the Facebook group, somebody mentioned a program that was offered. And I was like, ooh, that might actually mean it's possible for me to go without it actually being a huge burden, because I already have enough student loans as it is, through getting my first master's and my undergrad degree. And I just finished paying the last payment, all completely covered through Chapter 35 and a few scholarships that I learned through the EDF Facebook group. So I wanted to mention that that I personally have used the resources and the help that comes from the Facebook group. And it is a saving grace for me when I'm having a really hard time. I know that there is a group that I can go to and just kind of talk out what's happening. And I know that I'm going to be met with support and love and care as I'm navigating through some of the hard parts of the caregiving journey. That is the different programs of the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. And if more I'm sure that we're going to be sending out resources later, and I will add all of those resources to that, so that if any of those piqued your interest or sounds interesting, you have that information at your fingertips. And then I did want to mention that if you want to, at the end, I believe you will be getting a survey. And if you wanted to give us your address, the Elizabeth Dole Foundation is supporting my thing, and that I wanted to provide you guys caregiving packages just to say thank you for being a caregiver, and we appreciate you, and you are thought of, and that you are loved.
It's really nice of you. We do have a lot of caregivers that don't attend our live events, but come in later because of family duty, caregiving duty.
Completely understand that.
So ElderWorks would be happy to provide others with those items, whatever you would like to send. If anyone on this Zoom presentation would like this gift, ElderWorks will be forwarding on your information to Theresa. If you do not want to be contacted, please let ElderWorks know, because we are very secure here at ElderWorks. We do not release information without prior consent.
Yep, and this is not, you're not getting on a mailing list, because this is not going to any, this is not a mailing list. This is actually just to me And I'm only going to have this information. And as a caregiver of military and of a veteran, I know how I don't like my information getting out. So know that this is just internal and this is just a gift from me. The Elizabeth Dole Foundation is supporting me as a fellow to provide this gift to you guys.
That's so nice. That's so nice. So yes, the same policies with ElderWorks. We don't do data mining. We don't sell information or give information out or share information, again, without prior knowledge. So we do appreciate that because there are other organizations who aren't so nice.
So I guess I can open it up for any questions that anybody might have. I know I went through a lot of information and I think a little bit quickly, but there's a lot going on and I just wanted to give as much information out as possible. So any questions that we have?
I don't see any questions yet, but maybe one will come up. I did go on to the Hidden Heroes registration page and it won't let me register.
It
says
won't
I need
register?
a referral code.
That's new.
Yeah, it's a little strange. I don't know why that's there. But it should be a little easier to register. Maybe it's just me. Could just be me. So,
I'm interested in that.
yeah.
Oh, it does say referral code.
So if you can check on that for me and let me know what we're supposed to do, I can let the attendees know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a brand new thing actually that I have not seen on that page before. So
everyone registering, who knows?
I will definitely talk to the foundation and I should have that answer back fairly quickly of where that.
Excellent. Oh, we finally got a question. Yay. Thank you. Kalinda Hallberg asked, is EDF help available to elderly vets or just war wounded vets?
It is caregivers of military or veterans. So there is no, the qualification is just that you have to be giving care to a veteran. It does not have to necessarily be a combat wounded veteran. So absolutely for elderly vets that need help and resources that is not combat wounded and are just having health issues come up. The only eligibility that EDF asks is that you're caring for a veteran or someone active duty. And as long as you can show that they were a veteran or active duty, then you are going to get help and support from us.
I think that's our only question so far. So my question is, how the heck do you manage it all? Because when I started my businesses way back in 2003, because I'm an old lady now, my kids were little and I almost lost my mind. Without my mom, my mother-in-law, friends, I don't know how anybody can do this. And it was just 2 kids. It wasn't, it wasn't everything you're going through. So how are you making it through each day?
I have a fantastic family support with my mothers and my sisters. And so I have a place to go with the kids if I need to just kind of decompress. Huge time management, like we have to plan things, like know when things are happening. And like I said, a lot of grace. So like if the baby needs to be in the room and she's going to be whining, I'm not embarrassed by that. That does not stress me out because that's just a reality of my life. And I think that helps tremendously, that this is just what it is. And I do as much as I possibly can give with
It's amazing, honestly,
boundaries.
Not all of us can do what you do.
It's not, it hasn't been easy. And my partner is really supportive in everything as well. And it can be hard and it's taken tolls in some ways. I've had to stop teaching for a couple years after Timmy was born. We tried it for a couple of months and it was too overwhelming for me to be away from home. Mm-hmm. The only reason I'm teaching right now, one huge shining bit of COVID, because they've gone remote teaching, I've been able to actually be back in the classroom that way because I can do it from home. And I only teach in a very part-time fashion. So I only teach an hour a day. And from home. So I don't have to travel outside of home, and my kids are here and they join class all the time.
I'm sure.
My students tell me they're our mascots because they're in class all the time.
God's my mascot. He just snores through everything like he is right now. So Yeah, that is a good thing with COVID. I mean, if anything from COVID, that's good. That's the only thing is the remote learning, because ElderWorks did the same thing. We're remote through the rest of the year. I think next year will be hybrids. I think it'll be both options, which is great because of people like you, for instance, you can't easily get away, but you have a great knowledge base and we want you to share. So we love the fact that Zoom and other online platforms are available so that we can do the remote learning.
Yeah,
So.
that has been such a blessing and such a hardship. So we've had such a hardship with COVID, but it has been a blessing on that side that we can be that much more connected and pull from each other and the knowledge that we have.
Think of the Spanish flu. Remember, well, you would know, but the way back way in history, you know, they didn't have the remote learning. They didn't have Zoom. They didn't have online platforms. So we are lucky it's 2021 and we can utilize all of, I mean, yeah, just think what's at our disposal versus where that went.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But going back to like how I manage it too is a lot of years and a lot of practice, learning where my boundaries are. That was a huge thing. And I do self-care, and one of the big self-cares that I do is write about our journey, because that helps heal some of the hard things that have happened. So finding that outlet that really helps, finding an outlet that works for you. I also do a lot of drawing and painting. Here's one right here. I'll share you guys. So I made this for my daughter's room.
Oh, that's nice.
So just finding an outlet and time for yourself, and also forgiving myself for mistakes because they do happen, and going, hey, I'm doing the best that I can. And
mistakes are the way my philosophy is mistakes are ways to learn how to do things better.
Yep.
Without mistakes, you don't learn. So I'm okay with mistakes unless it causes bodily injury. then maybe not.
Right. That's very true. And then finding your tribe, finding your people, finding the people that are going to help you support and really understand that. And that's, again, another thing with being interconnected and having things more done on more Facebook, social media. I know there's some terrible things about social media, but there's also some really positive things, and keeping connected with people is a big way that I've been able to make it through, because on the hard days, I need to reach out and just say, hey, today is hard. And somebody goes, yeah,
yes,
I've been there. That is hard.
Well, I know you mentioned boundaries. Many of our families aren't very good at doing boundaries. They just give everything. I think that is the key, is setting boundaries and then asking for help from those who say they'd like to help, or even family members who say nothing because they don't know what to say. Reach out to the experts. And we said this the other day, never be afraid to ask for help. What's the worst that can happen? They'll say no, right?
Yep. Well, and accepting that help. That is one of the hardest things to do, because if you are doing it all, then you feel like you can control it. And as a caregiver, there's so many things that are out of our control. And even the respite program, I said I used that personally. It took me quite a few months to even sign up for it, because I was like, somebody else needs that help. Because we're really good at that too, saying that, oh, somebody else needs that help more than I do. Somebody needs that help, and then actually accepting it and saying somebody else can do this job. I've learned that when my sisters offer help, that's them saying I love you, and to say yes, you can help with that, even if it's something that I can do. It's them offering help, and I need to allow them to do that in any way that I can. So it's not easy.
No. So what you're saying is vanity has no place in caregiving and self-care.
No, you have to be really vulnerable, and vulnerability is that strength. So it's a big part of the strength.
I think, it's just like saying negative things versus positive things, or, giving someone a kudos versus a negative comment. I think there's more strength in asking for help and being brave versus just wallowing in the negativity and turning into a, oh my God, person, because now you're just, You're just exploding. And that's not a good place to be. I've seen it. I know you've seen it. You probably had some moments.
Oh, I've had periods of burnout and overwhelmness, and have learned now to ask for help before that happens.
It's important. Well, I think we don't have any more questions, so I think we're going to close the session. Are there any other words of advice you'd like to give before we close?
I said a lot of them in there. I think the biggest thing is that I'm working on personally is that idea of giving myself grace, and being okay with where I'm at, that I can only do so much. I'm a pretty amazing person. We're all rock stars that are caregivers, and we can celebrate that and then also forgive ourselves when things don't go so well. So
Forgiveness.
learn from that.
Forgiveness is key, and guilt is not.
We're in my classroom, and I keep on the back of my wall a big giant saying that helps me. It says, "Beautiful girl, you can do hard things."
It's true. The only limitation in the world is yourself. You put it on yourself, right? Well, thank you so much for coming out today and presenting. I'm hopeful that some of our caregivers listened to your words of advice and some information that maybe that'll help them with their futures. So thank you.
I hope so too. Thank you.
All right. Well, you take care. Thanks everyone for attending.
Bye-bye.
Bye.